All right, everybody, it's Chris with Drop Dice. We're back again, and I've downloaded some drivers, and hopefully my headset doesn't turn to garbage multiple times throughout this video like it did to me last night. I apologize about that, but hopefully you guys were able to watch and enjoy the one-shot we did, which is kind of a prequel to the events of today. Let's go down the line with our normal cast here for the campaign, 3 Feet from Death. Let's start with Brendan.
Hello, I'm back. I missed last week. I'm still playing Tsubasa. He's a swordsmith, and he wants to make some stuff.
Perfect. And we also have Jeremy with us.
Hey guys, I'm Jeremy, playing Kamuri here. If you notice, my background is different because I'm at a friend's house, Murdoch's. Yay! So if I sound echoey at any point, sorry.
All right, perfect. We're just going to make sure that we toggle that mute button to make sure that that doesn't happen here. Next up is going to be Murdoch.
Hi, I'm playing Kikita Toshiro, and you can see Jeremy right there. Wave. Yeah, see. So, yeah, that's really it. And I will also be toggling his mute button.
Perfect. And Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. I play Miramото Kaji. I'll be the guy standing awkwardly in the background, silently judging my party members.
He is currently not at my house.
He still judges us equally.
All right, so let's kind of set the stage here. I believe we don't have any letters this week. I'd have to double check, but we do have letters from last week since we took a week off. I'm not in the correct community, so let me pull that up real quick here, and then I'll decide who gets to go. Let's see. How about this? Komori, you wrote a poem and a letter. Let's kind of revisit both of those, if you don't mind.
I guess. If you really want to do that.
I do.
Give me a second. Laptop. No, that shit doesn't move as fast as I'd like it to. Let's see. Which one would you rather me go through first?
Either one is fine.
All right. So I will. Well, it wasn't really a letter. It was more of just some side information, so we didn't have to do it today. So I will do the poem. Now, for the listeners, the watchers, the whatever you are, or would like to be called, this is a poem that Dietrich wrote as a reply to a poem he got last game. The sun has not set. Though eyes clouded by duty, winter's shields come still. Now, he left this poem right next to the scroll case of Ranmaru, the Kuni Shugenja, I was talking about Kuni earlier. The Shugenja he had saved in Toshirambo. And hopefully she'll read it eventually, is the goal. Let's see what else. And I'll read the other little bits. The other little bits I wrote were just a bit of side RP I wrote in the meantime. Because Dietrich had two things he wanted to do in the meantime while he was still in his homeland before we set out. One was earlier, if you look at any of the earlier games, at one point Kamuri Dietrich picked up a random oddity from a foreign merchant. He picked up essentially coffee. Since his grandfather is also from lands far beyond Rivian, he was going to give that as a present to him. That was the goal. Hopefully his grandfather would be happy and such. The other thing he wanted to do before he left was he was given a letter by I'll never remember her name. The lady from Toshi Rambo, who owned the restaurant.
Katina.
Katina. She had asked to deliver a letter to her ex-husband, who was at Kyoto Komori, and he wanted to pass that on because he said he would. That was pretty much it. It was never meant to go heavy into detail, Chris.
Yeah, the letter was actually just a little bit about trade and discussing why a latest shipment hadn't made it yet. So it wasn't really anything that was too hyper important. So I didn't really discuss it too much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't think it was too much, but it was asked of him, so he wanted to definitely still drop it off.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to fill in a couple blanks here. If you guys have anything that you'd like to add to the recap, I'm just going to pick up from where this game begins. So does anybody want to add anything to the recap before we really pick up?
Not particularly.
All right, perfect. And since we haven't actually started the game, I'm going to go ahead and ignore Jason Lapel here. Thanks for tuning in. I know you're here like every week, so that's awesome. Good to see you back. So this week, what we're going to pick up on is you guys are actually on board a Mantis ship that is coming into Clearwater Village, which if you look at the 4th edition map, it is CB1 in the Crablands. I'm going to highlight it for my players real quick here. And I just found out I have the worst color for this map, so let me change that real quick here. We're going to go with green.
Love you.
There we go. That stands out. And Clearwater Village, despite its name, it's kind of like how Kyuden Komori was not really a castle. This one is not really a village. It is a huge city, and it's a trade hub for the crab. The Yasuki have made quite a name for themselves, kind of doing trade and conducting it through here, especially since the colonies brought in new exotic spices, foods, and fruits. So that's definitely one of the major areas. This is your first stop on your way to Kyuden Hida, because you have been sent on a mission to see if you can try and cure or save Ranmaru during this process. Ranmaru has been explained what her condition is, and she has slowly underwent some changes in the past month here. Morning sickness and things like that have furthered, and traveling by boat has not been the best experience for her. You guys have spent about a month at sea, so you're going to be getting in here just at the tail end of the month of the horse, I believe. Let me just double check that real quick here. Yeah, just at the end of the month of horse. So it would be the first month of summer.
Okay.
Sorry, we were just having a discussion on the side here. So basically, once you arrive, or once you are coming to port here in Clearwater Village, the weather has been actually quite exceptional during your entire travel, except for as you've approached Clearwater Village. The storm clouds have kind of started gathering. During this portion of the year, summer, there is spring rain. There's spring and early summer rains that you're used to, Kakita, because you've been staying in the Crablands. But nothing like super dark storm clouds like you would see right now. It's a little unsettling just to kind of view in on. And your boat's about to approach to Clearwater Village. Clearwater Village is also unique in its design that it actually has a wall that extends into the harbor. At the end of the wall, there is an opening that opens up for ships. Basically, it's kind of like a dry dock mechanism. And the doorways open up, allow ships in. But on one side is a guard tower, and then on the opposite side is actually a Kuni Witch Hunter Tower. It's one of the bigger ones. Which Kakita, you're going to be familiar with. as well.
Okay.
So if you guys would like to have any discussions or anything like that, or any concerns before you make it into the public area of the city, now would be your chance.
I will just politely say to everybody, a quick warning about the crab. They can be kind of brash, but they will speak their mind. Take what they say to heart, but do not take it offensively.
As you say.
Worry not. I've dealt with sailors.
Also, Komori, have you thought about the Bat Clan trying to petition the crane to join, or the crab to join? I'm sure the ability to speak across long distances would be a great boon to the Hida as they fight in the beyond the wall. Their ability to communicate and get reinforcements where needed would be a great boon.
The matters in which you speak are not left up to me. You can leave them up to my cousin.
No, but such beginnings can come from, or beginnings always come from humble places.
Even after all we've been through, am I so humble now?
Are you not?
That remains to be seen. As much as I'd like to consider myself humble, there's not much I can do about that as our actions continue.
Very well. Well, let's go get this over with.
Chris, what is the terrain like in this area?
It's actually a rocky. It's kind of a rocky coastal area. If you guys check out the map, the city is actually built kind of into the steeps of the mountainside, and it dumps right into the water. It's one of those rare instances where mountains actually approach the water line.
So, like, is the port the only way in and out of this place, or is there actually like a way out on foot?
There is a way out on foot. If you guys check the map, I'm going to do a little ruler on here. There is, oops, oh, it's centering inside that square. This side of town, basically you can get out by foot, essentially the left if you're looking at the map. There is a landway that will get you to CB5, which was your next destination.
What's our ultimate destination?
Your ultimate destination is, let me double check, but I believe it's CB3. It's Kyuden Hida. CB5 actually is Kyuden Hida. That is where you have been invited for winter, but you are actually going to. Let's see here. Where is that? I know we just pulled this earlier last week. I'm fairly certain we decided it was CB3. Let's see. Yes, the Fortress of the Forgotten. That's actually where you're going to be going next to meet with your master.
To meet my master?
Yes, because you were going to bring Ron Maru to your master first, but you have been invited to. Say again?
What I remember and what I wrote down is that we were told that he couldn't get in communication with my master, but to go to the Hida first, the clan champion, and then they would arrange for Cooney and I to meet up.
Oh, yep, that's right. I'm sorry, you are right. So CB5 would be the next city over, which is Kyuden Hida.
And then we were spending winter court with Cooney.
Yep. Sorry, I'm in a different section of my notebook here. I'm adding a couple NPCs that are going to be from today. That way I have them in front of me.
It's okay. It happens.
All right, so let's take a look here. Let me add this real quick, and then we'll get moving along. The ship actually comes into port, and the gates open. Like I mentioned, it's kind of a shifting floodgate style, so the gates actually drop below the water. This whole city was designed by Caillou Engineering. It is quite the marvel, and it has not been repeated since, to actually have a wall that is in the water. It is also something that Kikita knows. The wall actually goes to the seabed. It's not like floating or suspended. It is a full-blown wall all the way down to the seabed. And the harbor that is in front of the city is actually quite deep, so it did take quite a few years to actually put this thing together. As you're passing through, you can see the two identical watchtowers. These watchtowers are kind of pagoda style, and they come up, and where the one on the left as you're coming in is actually the Kuni Witch Tower, and the one on the right is the Guard Tower. And the only reason you can really tell the difference, because they are built identically, is the flags that are on there. One has a flag for Clearwater Village, and that would be the Guard Tower, and the other one has the Kuni family crest on different banners along the wall, along the building.
So we're in the Kuni homeland?
No, but the Kuni are given a certain place in this city of respect.
Okay.
The Watchtower has served for the past couple of centuries as a gathering place for Kuni to train and be sent out. This is kind of served as kind of a hub point for them, since this is easy access to ships.
All right. I'll say, well, I think we should secure passage as fast as possible to alleviate any misunderstandings. Also, please don't be offended if you're hit with a Jade Strike.
Is that common?
It's seen as a sensible precaution in these areas.
I do need a investigation awareness check.
From everyone?
Yep.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. 15.
Okay. Okay.
27.
Ah!
It is pretty fun to roll that, but it's still only succeeds.
I know, it just makes me giggle. Excuse me?
All right, so
I have 4K3.
you all have seen the target number 15 object there, or people, I should say, there. Along the walls, you will find on both sides of the walls of the harbor there have been Kuni that have been stationed along the wall. None of you are from here, so you don't know if that's unusual, but they are all wearing jade pendants and have staffs that have fingers of jade just dangling off of them. They are all wearing their Kuni like kabuki makeup, and they are watching your ship as it enters the harbor.
Oh, man. Would it be inappropriate for me to be wearing, or would it be more appropriate if I'm wearing my kabuki makeup at this point? My makeup.
That's your call. There's not any like etiquette that dictates that you should or should not in this case.
Okay, then it will not be.
For Kikita, from what you understand of the Witch Tower here, is the tower itself is usually pretty full of witch hunters. At the moment, they seem to be a little bare. At least that's what the walls would lead you to believe. You've only seen about 24 witch hunters along the walls. Now, there may be more of them waiting on shore for you, but it is something to note.
I will not let on that the crabs seem a little down in numbers.
Okay. So your Mantis ship actually pulls into the harbor, and here, due to some good fortune, the boat is actually carried via lapping waves to the pier. And when you arrive, you're able to see that this city is actually quite highly religious. As soon as you get off the pier, you're greeted with a shrine dedicated to Soitengu, the lesser fortune of the sea. It is a simple well that has been burrowed into the shore side, and water fills it from the waves that lap in. Once your ship is docked, the gates will shut. The gate to the harbor will shut as well. And you're going to see that the Kuni Witch Hunters, as you've been pulling in, will walk with the ship. So when you arrive at the first set of guards, they will walk and escort your ship down. And then 2 guards will get together and walk, and then 3, and then 4, of course. So when you're at the pier, you are greeted by 24 Kuni Witch Hunters.
This is
Usual greeting.
No. No. Chris, I'm going to give a quick view. Is my wife here?
She is not.
Okay. You're going to see Toshiro kind of go, nope. No, what? Oh, what? No, this is not the usual greeting. And then he's going to look relieved and go, well, let's get on with it. I told you this wasn't going to be fun.
Just so you know, Dietrich will automatically have his gauntlet ready. And he will definitely stand near Ronmaru.
I have already told you what to expect here, so, again, do not be offended.
Okay. A Kuni Witch Hunter approaches, and he has a very simple kabuki-style makeup. It looks like two lines coming off the side of his face, and then it's done in such a way that it looks like it's shadows to a Fu Manchu that doesn't exist on his chin. It's a little bit weird looking at it, and then you're like, it's a Fu Manchu, because he's just got the shadows colored in. But it's not a Kuni that you recognize directly, Kakita, but you've known a master through your master that wore a similar style of makeup.
Okay.
Which his name was Kuni Suno.
So Kuni Suno? Similar style, but not the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I see him, I will bow deeply. I'll take a small scroll out of my hand, and I will say, I assume you're the apprentice of the great Kuni Suno?
I am one of them, yes.
Please,
My name is Kuni Kagor, and he returns your bow.
Is your sensei dead?
No, he lives. He is ventured north to the Crane Lands. We have heard that there is a great piece of artwork that to be unveiled, and many of our class has decided to go.
I'll reveal a small scroll and I'll hand it to him, and I'll say, please take this to whoever is in charge.
Of course.
I
Please,
assume,
if you would. I've made arrangements within the tower for you and your friends. You will be staying the night, of course.
I will say, of course.
Okay.
Is
Glad you
there
picked up on that?
is there anything that you will require of us? We all greatly appreciate the special accommodations that you are giving us. It is a great honor for any non-Kuni to be allowed in the tower.
You will be permitted to the first floor. It is where our guests and visitors are allowed to enter, but as far as special qualifications or restrictions, you are not to go beyond the first floor. Any of the upper levels are not for access to the public.
Very well. By the way, there is I don't know if you remember, but I do have a Kunimon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I will tell him then we travel with a small bit of crystal.
Most excellent. We will bring it inside and observe it for purity.
Please.
He says, unfortunately, we must request that the pregnant lady please come with us. We wish to get her back on land and accommodated before allowing her to spend too much time within the city.
I understand. Ranmaru-san.
She'll step forward, and she has donned a simple garb, a kimono, and a cloak that she has pulled in very close to her. You guys have seen her through her transformation here as she's getting more pregnant. As Kikita happens to be a little bit more trained in medical arts, her pregnancy seems to be going at a faster pace than you'd expect it to. She's showing a bump at this point, even though she's about 2 months or so into the whole process. 4 months now. So it's a little bit more than what you'd expect at the 4-month point, I should say.
I will also. I look over to Komori and I say she is known to carry a bat companion as well.
Of course, we will ensure that there are arrangements made for your bats, and he's just going to assume that Dietrich has one as well.
Okay.
I just nod. I stay quiet the entire time.
Okay. The 11 others are going to escort Ranmaru back to the tower. Are any of you going to join her back to the tower?
Yes.
Okay.
I wrote what my note says, by the way, in the chat here, the group chat.
Mm-hmm. Which I believe is a code word, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute.
Okay.
Kagor says, we welcome you into Clearwater Village. It is a fine trading hub, and I'm sure you will find many exotic wares here. Feel free to observe the city, and please be kind to the fortunes that bless this city. And he will indicate to the shrine that is there on the beach.
Ah, of course. I will go to the shrine and pay my respects to the fortunes.
Okay. When you approach the shrine, there is some driftwood that has been kind of neatly piled up next to it, and there are some carving tools and implements. And you can gather from the bits of information that you see here that essentially what people would do is write down a poem or etch like a picture on the wood, and they would send that to sea with any wishes or hopeful dreams or prayers to the fortune. Soy Tengu is the fortune's name.
A small image. Just nothing too crazy. From me, and then I throw it into the water. I will guide it with magic into the water.
Okay. Your message will go out into the water, and you guide it with magic out a little bit, and then the water, despite what it normally does, there's waves that would normally logically lap it back to the shore, because that's what driftwood what happens with driftwood. It actually gets pulled to the sea.
Interesting.
I'll go to the market, I guess, wherever the trading happens.
Perfect. So the whole city is kind of designed in a very modernized kind of setup. The Crab are known for very utilitarian design cities. Their streets are widened so that you could fit a unit of soldiers through the streets very easily. But because of that design and the fact that the city is very grid formation, it's actually kind of a more up-to-date, forward-thinking style of city. Basically, all city blocks are the same size. It's a grid formation, and the city itself is basically a giant square. So making your navigation through the city much, much easier than you've expected. When you arrive into the center area, the open market, you see stalls full of exotic goods and smells and things like that you've never experienced before. You can hear people working on metals, and the sounding ring of a hammer like chimes through the air as you are going through these different stalls. Different vendors will pop out and throw silks in your face and try and size you up and tell you that they could have this done for you today, and they're very like aggressive used car salesman tactics to you as you walk through this open market.
Okay, I will be drawn like a moth to flame to the ringing of a hammer.
Okay. When you arrive, what you find is that there's a very odd forge setup. essentially the way that it's being done is there's someone who is casting molds at the forge itself. They've got the mold set up. They're melting metals. One person's melting metals, pouring it into a mold. The second person is pressing the mold, and then he tongs it, passes it over to another one who hammers any imperfections out, who then passes it over to someone on a grinder, who quenches it, grinds it, racks it into a sword rack.
So they use a mass production system, whereas my clan uses a one-person, one-weapon system?
That is actually the common way to do things.
Okay.
Most everyone in the Empire does it that way, where it's a single craftsman going through the process, putting his soul into the weapon. This is no better than if it was automated by a machine of some sort, and kind of what your school would teach you to think.
I'll be standing off to the side looking at the machinery because that will probably be what gets my interest. If they notice me, I'll introduce myself, but I'm guessing the automation that they use is completely foreign to me, right?
The process that they're using, not really. You've done things like you've cast horseshoes in a similar manner, but to cast weapons in that manner just seems insulting. Or at least that's what your master would tell you.
Yeah.
You can kind of hear his voice like scoffing and like having a meltdown if he was here watching this.
What weapons are they making?
What they are making is essentially broadswords. They're not quite they're not katanas, they're not like a traditional sword at all. It's basically a hunk of metal with a blade on it.
Okay, at least it's not complete blasphemy. If they're making katanas, yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave them to that kind of work then. I'm not terribly curious about that. I guess I'll wander through the market for something catches my eye.
So the other thing that will catch your eye here is near the forge, kind of like because the way that the forge is set up, it's a big open forge. There are a few people that are crafting singular blades, but they don't seem to do it with a whole lot of precision. They seem to be doing it for speed. And so that's another thing that you kind of just notate as you go through. But one of the other things you do notice is inside this crafting pavilion that you've come across is there are people who are forging things like tetsubos, adding studs to leather, just doing all sorts of work, but it is all basically broken down the same way where it's factory design. One person studs up this section, passes it to the next person who studs up the next section, who studs up the next section. And they just kind of keep that process going. And it seems very automated. And the person who does his one minor thing may be an expert at it, but it's totally strange to see it happen like this, where it's mass production of everything that they're doing.
From what I'm aware of Caillou technique, is this
Not at all.
This isn't Caillou work at all, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen anything Caillou going through the market here?
No, I mean, you saw the walls coming into the city, but you haven't seen anything like particularly Caillou engineering that stands out to you. Some of the buildings in the city have been designed by Caillou engineers, and you can tell by the way that they're structured. But you don't see anybody who's actively like going out and crafting swords with the Caillou style.
Right. I'm guessing do they dedicate their work more to the the fact that the crab have to fight every day? I'm guessing.
That seems to be what this pavilion's about, is putting out weapons that can be used in an unending war, pretty much. Like, these kind of techniques would be used if your clan was going to war and needed to get ready right away.
Okay.
Like the weapons and armor that they're forging, they're not for samurai. They're for foot soldiers.
Okay. Then in that case, since there's a lot of exotic goods, I'll see if there are any interesting materials I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, so you travel through the marketplace and you will find some different things. One of which that kind of catches your attention is a type of what's the best way to phrase this? It's a type of metal that you don't get a lot of. It's brass. After you inspect it for a little while and kind of rub off the oxidation that turns it green, you realize that it's actually brass. There's a vendor that has a couple bars of solid brass. You know that this would be a very good material for ships or things that are around salt waters and things like that because it doesn't rust. It just gets that green stuff that you can wipe off. But to find that much brass, which you could actually technically forge a full weapon with, is kind of unusual. So that was kind of the thing that you noted. As far as any sort of exotic materials, not anything that you haven't really been in front of before. As a forge master or working underneath a forge master, your clan had the privilege to see quite a different variety of metals, and you've worked with most before. Some you found use for, others you haven't, and it's because they're too frail or they don't hold up under pressure and things like that. Brass happens to be one of the ones that is in that in-between category. If tempered correctly, it could function as a weapon, but straight brass just doesn't cut it on its own.
Okay. And does it have any sort of qualities when if I were to craft into a weapon? I'm guessing no, it's just mostly for corrosion,
Durability thing. Yeah.
For stuff at sea. Okay.
Yeah, it's a durability thing and a certain look to it.
Okay. Is it common for ships to have sort of ornamentation, like in dedication to Kami, to bless the ship?
The Mantis ships do that quite a bit.
Okay. The ship we took here, did it have any?
It did have a head figure. So at the end of the Mantis ship, it had what appeared to be a large mantis-like creature. It was it was somewhere hybrid between mantis and man. It almost looked like, if you looked at it correctly, it would be like a monk posing in kind of a mantis-like stance. But as you get closer and inspect it more, it looks almost like a mantis posing in a man-like stance. It's very strange, kind of a figurehead for that ship.
Now, would that sort of thing be done totally within the clan, or would it be?
Usually the shipbuilders would. Usually the shipbuilders would do it. Occasionally they would be figureheads are given as gifts. Whereas, like, let's say a craftsman like yourself wanted to build a figurehead for a clan as a gift, you could do so, and then they would attach it to a specific ship.
Okay. Yeah, I'll set up a. Or I'm guessing since these are crowd, they don't care about samurai actually buying things. Or is that custom still in place?
The custom is still in place. You have certain liberties here in Clearwater Village. The people of Clearwater Village won't care. So if you start conducting trade, that's fine. But your own social stigmas and how you believe should still be in place.
Yeah, I will set up a transaction for the brass.
Okay. Finding gophers in this village are actually exceptionally easy. There are tons of them all over the place. And it's easy for you to find one that will give you a good deal, because they are one of the ones that are popping up in front of you being like, hey, mister, I'll do your shopping for you, and I'll only take 1 koku for it. They're able to make the purchase for you. It is going to be the koku out of your pocket because they need the money on hand right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be 3 koku for the gopher and the brass.
Okay. And that's enough brass to make something to gift to the mantis?
It would be enough to make a medium-sized weapon or 2 smalls. You could also use it to
my main
do,
intention for getting it was like to maybe make some sort of ornament to gift to the Mantis clan for giving us passage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to be a huge piece, but it's going to be like something about that big-ish. Basketball.
Okay.
I shortly realized that you guys can't really tell what this means. Okay.
Okay, so I'll purchase it. And I'll make my way back to the tower, and I guess I'll ask if there's any place where I can work in a forge.
We'll get back to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Next, we will go to Kakita.
Yep.
Where are you heading?
To the tower, the watchtower.
Okay.
I'm the one that suggested that Ranmaru come here, so Toshiro is going to take a very specific. It is my job to guard her and to make sure that if she goes present, that I scream.
Perfect.
Which is a joke on the wall that a night watchman's job is to scream to alert the rest of the clan, and that's it. So, because they will be dead.
Next is Miyamoto. What is your intentions within the city after they take Ranmaru, or are you going with Ranmaru?
I'll wander around for a bit. Miyamoto has never been this far south, so he's going to wander the city, mostly taking in crab culture.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at crab culture, like I said, it is very utilitarian. It's almost disconcerting when you look at it, because it so much has been done in effort to design the city so that it is very uniform, regimented, and functional. But you can see where the villagers and things like that have gone back and redecorated the city and reclaimed it for form purposes rather than just function. There are gardens that have been planted within the city. There's, in fact, quite a large central garden within the city that has a shrine to the lesser fortune of Stone, who has passed away. You also can see that there are things like foxes that are wandering through the city. Go ahead and give me an awareness check, if you would. Investigation awareness.
19.
Okay. While there does seem to be quite a few foxes, there doesn't seem to be a lot of game here. There are deers and things like that, but usually foxes, if they want to hunt a deer, they got to do it smart, and it usually takes more than one fox to bring them down. So you kind of doubt that that's what's bringing them in here. Could quite possibly be the fact that humans throw out garbage, and maybe they're just taking easy meals. But it seems weird that there's not a lot of game creatures in the city if there's a predatory creature in the city.
Okay, bit of an odd question. Would I know that there are, well, kitsune, for lack of a better word?
Shapeshifters? Yes. You wouldn't think of them being like super prevalent, but there is stories of them, and they do exist.
Yeah, it'd be kind of odd that the crab would let shapeshifters of all things in, so it's just kind of strange, I guess. I'm going to ask someone about the foxes. Like, why are there so many foxes wandering about?
Okay. You come across a Henin who is actually chasing a fox out of an alleyway. And you kind of stop him and you're like, hey, what's going on with these foxes? And the Henin says, my lord, and he bows very quickly. Forgive me, you did not need to see my display. These creatures, they rummage amongst our trash, and they look for food. I don't know why they've come. They started here about a month ago.
Truly.
We've always had foxes, but never this many. I don't know why or where they're coming from. They're quite the pests, though. And you see him kind of like look down the alleyway like he's spotting another one.
Interesting. Carry on, then.
Yes, my lord. And he bows once more, and he kind of like backsteps just a little bit, and then he just kind of breaks into a run down the alley, and you hear him like huck a brick down the alley after a fox. Please note, no foxes were harmed during the making of this RPG game.
Interesting. I'll remember this.
One of the things that you will notice is the stores on either side of the alleyway. There is a tinsmith who does minor repairs and household goods and things like that, or a silversmith, whatever you want to call them. And then the one next to that is actually an armorer, a person who works with leather specifically. Not actually curing the leather, but sewing the leather together.
Interesting. We don't have much of that crap up in the Dragonlands.
Well, usually how it works is an Edda would be the one who cures and preps leather, but a Hinin craftsman would be the one who puts it together. There are actual samurai who do specialize in leather working, but they would never touch uncured leather. It's all done by servants. And it's usually done outside of the city because it smells terrible.
I imagine that these people feel like they could not afford to do so outside the city. Function of reform, after all.
This is not a curing station, so there's not any smell associated with it. This is a person who's just assembling leather pieces.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Well, interesting.
Okay. Other than that, it's pretty much what you would expect from the crab. As you get deeper into the city, you can see where different sections of the city have been quartered off, and they have different districts, essentially. And it is very easy to navigate once you kind of understand that there are districts. Like there's a merchant district, there's a military district, a commons, a second set of commons, which is more for the noble class, and then there's also the castle, which is actually just kind of nestled into the foot of the mountain that kind of comes into the city itself. And then there are walls around the actual city that extend into the harbor, like we talked about earlier.
Cool. I mean, yeah, once I think I've seen what there is to see, I'll head back.
Okay. We will come back to you and C coming back, but let's start with the ones that actually went back to the Kuni Tower with Ranmaru in the first place. Ranmaru will be escorted by the 11 left of the Kuni witch hunters. You see that Kuni Kagor is actually staying behind at the shrine. Kakita, you are going to notice it more than anybody because you've had some interaction with him and you directly talked with him. Once he moves away from the group and he looks at the shrine, he seems to kind of frown at the shrine, and then he looks like pensively towards the sky at the gathering storm clouds. As you're approaching the watchtower itself, you're going to notice that there are other people watching you aside from these 11 here. Basically, villagers and things like that are watching this kind of parade through the streets, where they're pretty much surrounding your group and moving villagers out of the way from you.
It seems our arrival was not kept as hidden as I had hoped. Hopefully the Oni of the area do not try to make a move, though the storm does not bode in our favor. We may need to move through it.
Another Kuni will step forward, and this one you actually recognize. She is a girl that studied, and during the first portion of Kuni testing, before you go through your Genpaku ceremony, you pretty much study as a group with all of the hopeful applicants to the Kuni schools.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman, she actually was there when you were training, right before you did your Genpaku ceremony. Her name is Reiki, and it takes you a second to recognize her because she has always been short, but she has cropped her hair exceptionally short since joining the Witch Hunters as a full-fledged member. She's got kind of like that really short, chopped look that almost looks a little too long to be a boy's cut, but a little too short at the same time. She has kept her bangs at short in kind of a point shape, and then she has these long strips along the sides where basically your sideburns would be. Kind of emulating a kabuki wig with her natural hair.
Yeah.
She has started wearing face paint of orange and white. It's almost as garish as her haircut. The makeup itself is not something that you recognize. You aren't really sure who she ended up studying underneath.
Okay. You are not speaking.
All right, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
So, yeah, she's walking alongside you, and like I said, it's a makeup that you don't really recognize. She kind of steps forward. She says, forgive us. It is only a precaution. We do not know what we are getting ourselves into.
I understand. Is this a young lady that I know, like, well enough to use her first name with her?
Yes. You were pupils at the same time.
Okay.
But you probably should not add Kun to the end of it. You're not that familiar with her.
Reiki? Reiki-san, it's a pleasure. It has been far too long. I have taken a personal mission to make sure that this woman returns to my sensei. I understand as well. Her taint, and this is what I'm going to say to her under the breath. Her taint is that of the darkness, not of the Shadowlands. Or her, excuse me, she is corrupted, not tainted, is what I will tell her.
We understand. Unfortunately, we are very limited at the moment. Our agents are doing the best that they can. So
may I ask what happened?
With the procedures. We had received news of your discovery in the north, and many of the Kuni had been dispatched to take care of it. An outbreak of that level in the newest imperial city in the newest imperial capital is not something
Imperial capital? Toshirambo? Out of game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In the newest imperial capital is not something we want to spread or become public knowledge.
I understand. I sent this to be gone with the masters, but it is so important that I feel it needs to be said. I believe there's a mommy at Toshirambo.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate on that real quick for us?
Sure. Mommy, roughly translated, is a key word that the crab use at the wall to say, or in their lands to say deceiver. It essentially means that there's a shapeshifter. For those that may not have seen the other videos, somebody hired a ninja to do a job of delivering a message of do your job tonight, essentially, to the old Lord Governor Otomo of Toshirambo. The party, unfortunately, was never able to determine who that was. It also is a problem for Toshiro because Toshiro assumes that that person is the person that trained in Maho, the Lord Governor, and is very close because ninjas wouldn't be used to dispatch long-range communications like that. Mm-hmm. Not to mention that there was a lot of upheaval in Toshirambo that Otomo couldn't have gotten his hands dirty with, and he would not have been able to orchestrate everything that happened by himself. So he fully believes that there's others there that are working against them that did not reveal themselves yet.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. So she says, she kind of looks, and you can see that she has shifted to kind of unease when you say a mummy. And she says, we have much to discuss when we get to the tower. Let us...
I understand that my compatriots are not allowed in the upper levels. Does that extend to me in this case as well?
You'll be allowed to the upper levels. Should you find a doorway that leads you to the lower levels, you will not be allowed into those.
Very well. I understand.
I am sorry to inform you of this, but it will be an executable offense.
I wouldn't have it any other way. We have no time for liars and deceivers on the wall.
Very well. And about this time you guys are approaching the tower itself. You've also noticed that there are a couple villagers who have kind of followed you. And they move with too much skill to be villagers.
Are they with us?
Reiki looks around and she says yes.
Okay. This would not be my first day dealing with ninjas.
She smiles and she says, "Oh, they are not ninjas. Here inside the city, the Kuni always wear their paint. So if we wish to go amongst the citizens, we can take it off and live as normal people."
Understood.
It's about then that you notice most of them are actually wearing wigs as well. Um, they're doing their best to while in Kuni makeup, look pretty much the same, other than the way their face is painted. That way, if they do go out in the village, like I said, they kind of have a disguise, which is themselves without makeup and wigs.
Understand.
When you approach the pagoda itself, the watchtower, you'll see that these doorways, the doorway itself, are two rather large and imposing, about 20-foot tall doorways. They're made of stone, and for Matsu and Komori, this would be the first time you've ever seen anything quite like this. Reiki, who is a very lithe, like short woman, walks up and she simply pulls at the door and it swings open gracefully, as if it was just a regular wooden door. When she's getting the door ajar, you find that the doors themselves are about a foot thick of stone.
Fascinating.
Okay. For Kikita, it's Caillou engineering. You've
Yep.
seen this sort of thing before.
It doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Sorry, not Miramoto. You haven't made it there yet, because you two went into the village, but Komori did. And see that. Ranmaru will definitely look a little surprised, like she must be really strong, because she doesn't seem to understand how the door works.
Dietrich will pay attention to it, but he will not. Other than anybody looking at his face to see what he's looking at, he will not say anything about it. He's been staying quiet on purpose his entire time.
Okay.
He doesn't know what to make of everything here.
When you enter, the Kuni immediately start dispersing. Reiki is the last one that is with you, and she says, "I will take you to your quarters now."
Who does she say that to? Ranmaru?
All of you, essentially.
Okay.
Well, the three of you. She kind of escorts you around, and she says, "Kikita, if you wish, you will be granted a student's study."
No, I will be staying with Ranmaru.
Very well. She brings you over to what looks like it used to be an office that's been converted. There have been cots that have been laid out for all of you. They have had the correct number for all of you as well, which means that they did get specific word about you coming. And there are weapon stands and armor racks inside the room for you to get comfortable.
I will smile real quickly towards the weapon rack and be like, I assume that's merely a formality for my friend, and he'll kind of like tap his chair.
You may choose to walk with whatever weapons you want. We are in Crablands. It is advised that you do carry while in the streets.
I've spent far too much time away from here. I wanted to make sure that we are still allowed this luxury.
Of course.
The other clans in Rukagon know not of the dangers that hide in the shadows. They would do well to follow that same rule.
We just simply believe it would be in your best interest to not sleep with your chair on your back.
I'm going to not sleep.
Very well. If you would like, there is also a shrine dedicated to the Kuni ancestors within the tower. It was on the second floor if you wish to visit it, Kikita.
I will make a stop. Thank you, Reiki-san. Reiki-san.
Reiki, she will nod and she departs the room, kind of leaving you in silence for a minute amongst yourselves. And Ranmaru will go over to kind of an overly plush chair that you can tell used to be like some administrator's desk chair, and she will kind of rest her feet down, and she says, every day it's getting harder.
I understand. The travel that we have over the next few days will not be any easier than this travel, for it will be over land.
Is it possible that we could acquire a carriage or some sort of riding animal for myself?
I assume the Kuni will make these arrangements.
Excellent. Do you know how long our stay will be here? She kind of looks like past you and to the door.
1 day. Or, excuse me, what time is it right now?
It is kind of early afternoon.
Approximately 16 hours.
The way they made it seem, I don't know if they want us here or they want us gone.
They don't know what to make of this. This is a difficult time for everybody. Understand that under normal circumstances, had this been the Shadowlands taint, you would have used your Wakizashi and done what was necessary. In this instance, more care needs to be taken.
Yes. Dietrich-kun.
I'll turn my attention to her.
Okay. This is the first time she's used kun with you. Super familiar there, by the way. Sorry, Chan.
Yeah.
Dietrich Chan. Please, fetch me some water if you would. She's become more reliant upon you in the last month of travel, and you're able to find a pitcher and glass set on a table that's been pushed aside for your beds.
I will grab them and pour her the glass. Bring it over.
She takes kind of a heavy drink of it, and she says, Dietrich, we are far from our lands. If it comes down to it, and this cannot be stopped, I need you to promise me that that you will return me to my lands once you have done your job.
He will take a couple seconds before he answer, and he'll nod, saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna use this. As you wish."
She drinks again. Kikita, something you will notice, which is a little unusual, is during her pregnancy, she has been drinking more water. Like a pregnant woman does drink a little bit more water just in general, but she's drinking like a lot of water.
Okay. I just take it down in my notebook. At the moment when she drinks her water, I'll kind of pull Komori aside, and I will say to him, "You're aware that returning her to her lands, if this goes a difficult way for you, will not be possible."
Only time will tell what will and what can be done.
If she is tainted, she will be burnt. Or her corpse will be burned. The ashes will not be returned. That is the way of things.
I've said my piece.
Very well.
Okay. You guys kind of sit in this solemn silence. It's not awkward. Like you're all willingly letting the silence settle in amongst your group. And about an hour later, C and Miyamoto kind of wander in almost together, chatting about what they've discovered inside the city, and they kind of walk in, and it's that awkward moment as they open the door and realize everybody's kind of sitting quietly in the kind of dark of the room with no windows and just a single candle lit.
But, kind of what the bat doing in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll take a moment to collect myself. I'll startle a little bit. The accommodation's a little comfortable. We're leaving in the morning.
It was said that we'd be leaving. Now, as I say that, I look towards Toshiro.
You're getting Murdoch's audio there.
Yeah.
Well, not Murdoch's audio, but lots of background.
Well,
Yeah.
He conveys to you that it's about 15 hours until your departure time.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. But I was trying to say it in a very specific way. That's why I was trying to say. It appears we are leaving. It appears we'll depart, and as I'd say it, I'm looking at Toshiro in about 15 hours.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'll see if I can find a forge I can work with. It's been all I've had to keep my hands busy the last few months have been whittling wood. By the way, when on our boat trip, like over the last few months, like C's just been born out of his mind. He made like just dozens of little wood carvings.
Yeah, you know brass, how to work brass. It doesn't require a whole lot of heat. In fact, you could technically work it in like a fire pit. Especially because it's pure brass. Once you start adding things to harden it, if you wanted to make a weapon, that would be totally different. You would need a forge for that. But for shaping a sculpture or something like that,
that's really what brass is better for, I imagine.
I was going to say, you have the tools to be able to do it, and once you start to kind of melt down brass, when it gets into kind of that semi-liquid state, the plasma, I guess, is kind of the best way to put it, you can actually shape it with your hands and everything.
Cool. Okay.
There is a rather large central fire pit in this tower.
Okay. I'll ask permission to use it for crafting if I can.
Of course. It's what there's a Kuni. There's like a random Kuni that you ask that's walking by with the scroll open, and he's like, "Yeah, of course," and he just continues walking, reading his scroll.
Okay. He'll collect his...
He seems just as preoccupied as you.
Yep. I'll collect my things and get to work then. Given my time constraint, I'm guess would I not have time to use all of it? I should probably keep it small, or...
Yeah, if you want to make something complete during the evening, you would probably make something pretty small.
Okay, so instead of like a really big sculpture to decorate for a whole ship, like it wouldn't be unusual to have like a small one to keep inside a cabin or something, right?
No, I mean you could do something as simple as like a medallion for the captain or something like that.
Okay, yeah, I'll do exactly that.
Okay.
And you can come back to me if you want, so I can have some time to think of what I want it to be.
Kakita, you were aware that your companions, Miyamoto and C, were not informed of the instructions about don't go upstairs, and you noticed that they didn't tell anyone else about downstairs except for you. So you can do what you want with that information.
As my crane training tells me that it's a breach of etiquette to go anywhere else without an escort.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do something stupid, that's their own fault. And that's the crab in me, saying if they do something stupid, that's their own fault.
You said the fire pit was in the main area when we entered, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of in between all of the offices here. Essentially, the way that this building is designed is there's a channelway that goes up the pagoda itself, and the heat from the fire, because it's a huge fire pit, actually channels up and heats the whole building.
Oh, and also that stone door would have probably caught my fancy. I just realized. I would probably, when Miramone and I walked in, I probably would have stopped without even telling him and looked around at the hinge and tried to figure out how it works.
Yeah, you kind of see what the design behind it is. It is a very simple mechanism, but basically the door is bracing its own weight, and it's on a free moving hinge. And so it doesn't take a lot of energy to actually get it to move when it's on the free floating portion. But if you were to lock it down in a different position, all of the weight of the door would be down again. And so it would actually be a rather clever design to make the weight of the door actually be the locking mechanism.
Interesting. Also, from what I've seen of Shigen's, a very convenient way to lock a door so that only they can get through.
The doors are also entirely made of stonework, so it is kind of funny because you recall that the Kuni are quite good with earth magics. So in the worst case scenario, they can get past it anyways.
Yep.
Miyamoto, for you, in here, the Witch Tower is exceptionally stark. There is like no decorations inside here. There are scroll cases and doorways into bedrooms. And offices. That's pretty much what you're seeing.
It's so pragmatic. He says it like it's a bad thing, by the way.
Yeah, like you've seen monasteries that are more decorative than this place.
It's so base and down to earth. There's no spirit to it. It's unsettling.
It is a little against my own aesthetic, but I understand it.
It's more than just aesthetic. It lacks something. Spark. They look not to the heavens, only to the earth.
You say that as if your way of thinking is the only way. Everybody's culture is different.
You can place emphasis where you want, but you can't neglect the spiritual.
Spirit comes in many forms.
He'll just shrug at that.
The evening will pass without too much problem. They will feed all of you. The food that you get here is basically the same staple that you would get on the wall. It's rice and fish. However, the fish that you get here is a little bit nicer than the fish you would get on the wall because it is fresh and it's not salted and preserved.
Interesting. While we're eating, I'll turn to Toshiro and say, "Oh, has this city always been plagued by foxes, like in the past?"
I have not spent much time here, so that answer is beyond me. I apologize.
It's fine. In my wandering the city, I found a great number of the creatures ambling about. I asked a commoner, and he told me that apparently their population has increased in the past month. Not sure what to make of that.
It's interesting. I'll speak with some of the Kuni about it and see if they've felt some foxes, you said.
Yes, foxes.
Chris, out of game, do foxes have that we're tricksters and deceivers mentality?
Kitsune do. Kitsune are the shapeshifters that turn into foxes, and yes, they are kind of tricksters.
Are they considered Oni?
No, they are not. They are spirit folk. They technically are part of the same branch of family that Kami are, but they're kind of distinct still.
They're dicks, but they're not deviant. They're not like evil.
Yeah, some spirit creatures are evil though. The kitsunes in particular, no.
Okay.
I think the term is yokai, but I don't know if that's an actual thing within L5R.
Yokai are ghosts. However, fox spirits do technically fall under yokai. Yokai is a weird category. For L5R, yokai are ghosts.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Well then, that's all I've got here. I will discuss this later on
Okay.
with the Kuni.
So the evening kind of comes to a pretty close to close, and a Kagor will actually come knocking at your door, right about when most people would be going to bed.
I'll open the door.
Kakita-san, forgive me. I would have attended to you, but I had my duties at the shrine.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that everything was fine, and you can see that his eyes are kind of wandering the room, and he's scanning to see if anything seems off. You can tell he's investigating right now.
This is the same person I slipped the note to, right?
Yes.
Okay. I will say, things seem okay for the moment. Though I am ever vigilant.
That is good to hear. I've reviewed your report, and I believe that you and I should discuss something privately.
Very well. Where would you like to head?
If you would not mind, we can go to my office.
And may I ask where that is?
It would be on the 3rd floor.
What floor are we currently on, Chris?
The 1st.
Okay. I will say very well. I have been told I am allowed upstairs.
Yes, please. Though your friends will have to wait behind. This is a family matter.
I understand. I apologize, but the need for a doctor or a surgeon and a Shugenja should probably take my place in guarding Ranmaru.
Very well.
I use
will.
the term guarding Ranmaru and not, like, watching her or whatever.
Yeah, he says, very well, I will pull 2 students for us.
I believe that might be a disservice in this case.
The way the Kuni work is you are technically always a student.
Oh, okay. Then
So, like, even if you're technically a sensei, you are still, as far as the Kuni are concerned, a student.
okay. I will say then that'll be fine.
Okay. He's going to pull 2. There is a way to tell who is a sensei with the Kuni. They have a little black stripe on the inside, because you have kimonos that are layered, essentially. The inside kimono is a white collar, but there's a single black stripe about the size of a thumb width on each side, right about here. The Kagor actually has those, and he's going to pull 2 people that have those stripes as well. You are also going to notice that there are some people that have 2 stripes, which would mean that they are effectively a master of their specific level of study. It would be a sensei of much respect. Kunitaru actually has 2 as well.
Okay. I will bow to both of these men, I assume?
Yes, these are going to be two a little bit older than you men, about 30s or so for each one.
I will smile and I will say, Rodmaru, I'm going to leave you in these gentlemen's care. If you have any questions, please direct it to them. To my friends, please do not leave this floor. Going down will mean death. Going up will mean death.
Kagor looks at you and he says, I'm sorry, you must have been misinformed. There is no floors lower than this one.
Ah, going up will mean death.
Well, nice to know I'm only surrounded by death on one side.
Let us head out, Kagor-san.
Kagor starts to walk away, and then
he has a black stripe, right?
Yes, he does.
Okay. Kagor-sama.
Yes.
and I will follow him.
As he starts to walk out of the door, he kind of does the Columbo thing. He goes, "One more thing. You are free to leave the building, of course, but it is not recommended. The city has been strange in the last month. We are attempting to investigate what's going on, but it is advised that you stay within the walls of the watchtower."
Have we decided if it's a Katsumi infestation yet?
We'll discuss it more in my office. I require someone who has your skills before I can justifiably say that it is one thing or another.
Very well.
He takes you up the staircase. Because it is kind of a stacked pagoda of offices, it's kind of that annoying, like, walk up a flight of stairs and then walk across a bridge and then up another flight of stairs and then across a bridge and then up another one.
Got it.
You finally make it up to the third floor, and he opens up his office. And his office, it brings back a flood of memories. When you first met Kunitaru, your father bringing you, holding your hand as a young child, coming into Kunitaru's first office, where he had letters scattered amongst desks and a wall rack full of scrolls, some of which were correctly organized, others were not, some with jade seals and others with black seals on them. And his office smelled of incense, and there was always a very particular order to things, even though everything looked very disordered. You remember as a child picking up one of Kunitaru's scrolls, and he would pick it up from you, and he would set it back down where it belongs. And it's one of those memories where you don't have any voices to go with it, but you remember the conversations, or at least the emotions with it.
Yeah.
And you kind of have this soft smile on your face as you enter this office, and then that image in your brain fades away, and what you see is yourself as a young man learning under Kunitaru, and organizing his scrolls for him, and putting them away the way that they should have been in the first place, and basically reprimanding your instructor for leaving a mess behind, and telling him how much easier it is when everything is clean and organized. And as you kind of fade away from that memory, you see this office, and it reminds you of the times when your master was alone, or rather, when your master was away and you were alone inside the office. Everything is clean and crisp and organized, but there's no soul to the office. This office also doesn't smell of incense, and that's what really kind of breaks your fond memory there. And Kagor comes around, and he shows you a seat.
The second
that
the door is closed, I strike him with Jade.
Okay. He closes the door. You strike him in the back with Jade. He says, "You could have waited until we sat."
He turns around. I wait for him to turn around. I won't do it to him.
Okay. He turns around. You strike him in the chest. He goes, "You could have waited until we sat down."
A sensible precaution, nonetheless. And I'm waiting to receive my strike, just for the record, because I assume we're about to have a conversation, or a intense conversation that should not go past this area.
He indicates to a chair for you that has covered with a green silk.
I sit.
Okay. You do not feel comfortable in this chair. It's not that the chair is uncomfortable. It's that the nature of the chair feels kind of uncomfortable.
I will say, what is with this chair?
Its fibers have been enlaced with jade. I do not need to jade strike everyone. All I need to do is invite you in for a seat.
Intriguing. What is it we have to discuss?
First, let us drink to our health, and you'll see that he's breaking out jade pearl tea. He will make a pot, and he will set down a bag next to you that is quite large. It would be a month's supply, essentially.
Okay. I will drink, and I will say nothing, but take the bag and put it into my pouch.
Mm-hmm. He sits down once the tea is made, and he's poured a cup for both of you, and he says, "I do not believe it's Kitsune, but there is something strange about the foxes. merchants have told us that they are gathering in the alleyways and rummaging through trash. There has been an influx of them since the last month. And to be honest, this city has seen so many changes that I don't know where to begin. You have proven yourself to be quite the investigator, and I was hoping a second set of eyes that is not diluted by the everyday workings of the city might have a better opinion of what's going on here.
Very well. Where do you suggest I begin?
You may ask me any questions, but I believe most of it started a month ago.
Very well. Any prominent travelers in that time?
Yes, there was a rather large wedding between a now Yasuki couple. It was between two individuals, the groom being Susumu Kenapi, a male spider, of course, and Yasuki Kaneko, the bride. It was a mukuiri, meaning that for you guys viewing, a mukuiri is where the groom gives up his name and takes on the wife's name. It is uncommon, except for in the Lion Clan. It was a mukuiri.
Who arranged the wedding?
Daigotsu Kenpeki himself saw to this arrangement. Side note, Spider Clan champion.
I'm surprised the crab went for it. The spider should be killed, all of them purged from the Empire. They bring taint and Shirito with them everywhere they go.
Daigotsu Kenpeki has proven himself loyal to the Empress and to her child, Iwako II. This is the first time you've heard Iwako II actually being mentioned. You were not aware that he's been coronated.
Okay. Nevertheless, their practices of their Shugenja, openly practicing and training in Maho, their open reveling of Shirito, no honorable warrior would stand with them in battle, and no honorable empire should do the same.
It is agreed that that their practices of Shirito are not in the best interests of the Empire, but since becoming a great clan, we have purged them of Maho users, unless they are hiding some, which I am not entirely
Unconvinced
certain that they are not doing so.
Generations of training does not easily be cleansed, or cannot easily be cleansed.
Agreed. It was a shock, actually. We found out that that they had exiled one of their families, actually, because of their continued arrangements with Maho, and the Goju have lost power, and most have left, which we have been investigating for corruption, something that I believe that you are familiar with.
Yes. The foxes, you say. Back to the matter at hand.
Yes, the foxes showed up shortly after the wedding. The wedding itself was rather eventful. The groom, Susumu Kenpeki, used to visit Soitengu and write him poems. Soitengu grew angry with the groom for stopping his religious practices and instead conducting his wedding at the lesser fortune of Earth, who is deceased, shrine, which was done as a service to the Suki family, since that is their family shrine. Soitengu was angered and threatened to crush the city underneath a gale force of waves and terrible storms. There was a group of investigators, and he will slide a scroll over to you, and it has the Imperial seal on it. You will immediately recognize that the jade wax and seal there means that those are Jade magistrates who wrote that report. The seal has been broken, so you can open it if you wish.
I'll say this is far too many times in recent months have I dealt with the Jade magistrates, and kill...
Sorry, correction, emerald. These are legitimately emerald, not jades posing as emerald like last time.
Okay. So I'll open it and say, well, at least it's the emeralds ones this time, and I'll read it.
Okay. The letter itself is by a Koshi. The Koshi that is writing this letter that's a Dragonfly clan member. They're known for their investigative skills. The letter basically details the accounts of the wedding. Quickly skimming through and gathering the details, you find out about Susumu's relationship to Soitengu, what Soitengu threatened. You find out that this was probably the first time that person has ever seen a fortune. And to be fair, fortunes appearing before humans is exceptionally rare to begin with. There's a detailed account of what Soitengu's appearance was, which was a 13-year-old boy who emerged from the ocean. But the interesting part that really catches your eye is there seems to be a report about a Hare clan member who appeared at the wedding. The Hare, in the past, actually had dealings with the Kalat, and their clan actually almost fell into complete ruin due to Kalat influences.
Okay.
And the Usagi that are left, or the Hare clan that is left, most of them are actually, instead of being bodyguards like they originally were for their Bushi, they are now more of hunters of the Kalat. Being that you've dealt with a Kalat member, I bring that up because that is something important to you. But Usagi Toketsu had dueled a Hida clan member, Hida Hideki, to the death at the wedding due to an insult made to his wife.
To which wife? The Hare's wife?
To Hida's wife.
To the Hida's wife?
Correct. You find out that there was a love triangle, essentially. Toketsu, the Usagi Toketsu, was in love with Hida Hideki's wife, and basically he insulted the wedding couple by offering them an inferior gift, taking back his gift before they could actually accept it, and then Hida challenged him to a duel, which Hida won and removed his head on the beach in front of the shrine to Soitengu. That is pretty much the end of the report. But you see that there's a lot of analytics in reports, like trajectories and things like that. It's exceptionally detailed in facts, which a lot of it is not things that you necessarily need. It's just something that investigator does.
Very well. I'll start at the shrine. May I bring in another person?
Who do you wish to bring in?
I know the dragon can take far too long to contemplate before they leave their mountains, but I believe that the Miramoto in this case might be of great benefit. He has already seemed to take an interest in what's going on.
If he is to walk directly to my office, I can allow him to the 3rd floor. But he will be escorted.
Very well. So if you wouldn't mind sending for him.
Okay. He's going to reach over, and you can see that there's a series of pull cords on his office wall, and he pulls one, and there's like a little horn over there, and you hear like a sound as like a slot opens, and you've seen these before. They're calling horns is what they're called. Usually there's one at the top of the wall, and then there's one at the base where another guardsman sits, in case you need to spread messages quickly and quietly. And you hear a voice kind of come through the horn. Yes, sir. Please fetch Miramoto Kaji for us. Have him escorted to my office. Of course, sir. And then you hear that shh sound as it closes again.
Mm-hmm.
He flips the lid on his little horn, and he says, should we wait for Miramoto, or do you wish to continue?
About the scroll I handed you earlier.
Yes. I believe that we, too, are suffering from a similar condition.
Do we know who it is, or do we have a guess?
I don't think it is the foxes. They
Those are too
Well,
benign
curious.
for an attack.
Well, I don't know that it's an attack either. It's strange. Things have gone missing in the city. From trash, bits of leather, metals, scraps even. The foxes themselves, while clever creatures that are prone to stealing things, I don't think they would do anything this large of scale.
Unless they're Kitsune, which you do not believe.
No, we've done enough research and testing to rule that out. But we believe that someone may have control over these foxes.
Can you do me a favor? Can you send another friend of mine, the C from the Oreo clan, down to, or outside, to fetch several of these foxes? He's a smart man when building things. I feel that he could probably get several of them alive in a custom-made trap. Should he be properly motivated.
Of course.
Do not let the Bat Clan members in on this. They have enough on their plate.
Very well. And I assume that it would be best to keep Ron Maru. He looks at a notebook or a scroll that he's got on his desk, and he says, Ron Maru. Out of the loop anyways.
I'm not entirely sure that is Ron Maru at the moment.
Is there something that you wish to tell me about our guest?
Only inklings. But, as the Hida would say, words that are left unspoken leave many dead. Ron Maru's consumption of various items has increased. Her pregnancy has gone on much quicker than expected, and generally, she seems much different than what I would expect of a woman in her condition. We dealt with some evil water kami at Toshi Rambo.
Do you believe that she consumed water that these kami had been in contact with?
Yes. Almost everybody there did.
Have you been drinking the tea?
I have.
Have they?
It has out of game, Chris. Has Ron Maru been drinking it?
Yes, you've been administering it to her.
Okay. She has.
Then most likely its effects have already been purged from her.
Most likely, but with the corruption that she is undergoing, we do not know the effects of the corruption other than they can indeed taint spirits as well. And Jade is not nearly as effective as Crystal. I was gifted Crystal and have regifted it to the Bat Clan member that is watching her, though I believe there's a problem. He may be in love with her. He may not be able to do what is necessary. He believes he might be able to return the body to the Bat Clan lands when this is said and done. I have informed him that that will not be possible, that we must burn the body to avoid spreading the taint, but he does not seem amenable to that idea yet.
The most we would allow to leave our lands is her daisho.
And even then, only after it's been verified that those are not tainted as well.
Of course, the Kuni would tend to any purification ceremonies necessary, but there's no reason to keep it within our lands. That does belong to her family.
Agreed. I understand that. But I am just speculating at this moment. With everything that is happening, we cannot be sure.
He pulls a scroll out from the wall and he says, what do you know of the Chikishoto?
What? Can I make an appropriate lore check?
Yeah, absolutely. It would actually be lore Chikishoto.
I cannot make an appropriate lore check.
Okay. Do you have? Or I'm sorry, not Chikishoto. Spirit realms.
I do. I can make that.
Perfect.
Let me do that.
The
I'm going to do
target
it with
number
one
is 15.
raise.
Okay. Perfect. You get your raise. The Chikishoto, first off, is the realm of the animal spirits, and the other thing that you're going to get is it's kind of a strange realm. This is something you experienced while you were on Batclan's Island. It has areas where it kind of crosses into the mortal realm. And there are animals that sometimes pass between, and animals come back fine, but sometimes people come back different if they are to cross between. Some are mad, some display new powers and things like that. Some are believed to become something akin to things like the kitsune, shape changers. There's lots of folklore behind where shape changers come from. And one of them is that it's a person who has wandered into the Chikishoto and not realized it, and they live between both worlds.
Okay. I'll tell him that it's pretty much the spirit realm for animals. I ventured to the very gates of this while I was at the Bat Clan's, the Bat members' home. I believe that they may interact with them based on some things, or interact with it directly based on some preliminary observations.
It is my belief that someone who has spent time in the Chikishoto may be manipulating these foxes. He unrolls a scroll, and it's detailed accounts of different techniques of people that who have dealt with the Chikishoto, whether it was something as minor as your Toritaka friend that you met in Toshi Rambo that had his arm bit off. He's actually listed in the scroll. But there's also other accounts of people coming back and having the ability to have minor abilities to talk to animals, which would actually explain the bat a little bit, because they do talk to their bats and talk to them like they're getting responses, which is always unsettling for people who are not from the Bat Clan.
Well, I believe the Bat Clan member would be useful in this. We may have to separate the two and question them individually. A task that will not be easy, considering what I've told you already.
Does the male possess the ability to speak with spirits?
No. He possesses no magic of any kind that I'm aware of.
That is a shame. Spirit sight would be actually quite useful to us at this point. Right about then, Miyamoto will have been escorted upstairs by a servant who has kept you extremely close during your entire ascent to the third floor.
As soon as the door closes, I Jade Strike Miyamoto.
Like, halfway through your casting, he's just gonna, sigh. Is this how we're going to greet each other from now on?
Off your chest.
Is this just how we're going to greet each other from now on? Because I feel it's a bit one-sided.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Were you out of my sight while in Crablands?
Yes.
Then yes.
Kakita-san, he could simply sit in the other chair. He's going to point over to another chair that has been laced with jade.
If that is a legitimate offer, I will sit in the chair.
It is.
All right.
Miyamoto, please take a seat. You have been brought here by your traveling companion. He believes that you may be...
Friend. I correct him and actually say friend.
Friend. Believes that you may be a boon to us for an investigation that is going on. He kind of stops and he looks over to Cooney and he says, do you wish to share the material with him?
You said looks over to Cooney, so I assume you mean me.
Or sorry, looks over to, yes, Kikita.
That
one.
I trust him implicitly.
Very well. He slides over a scroll to you. It has the Emerald Magistrate's seal. And the seal is open. When you unravel it, you recognize the detailed scrawlings and small handwriting of a Dragonfly member.
Ah.
You see that the bottom of the scroll is signed by a Koshi, which is the Dragonfly family, and has a very small, delicate mon stamped at the bottom. Reading through the scroll, you get the basic description of what I told you about, or told Murdoch about, that there was a wedding between the Susumu and the Yasuki, and the events during the wedding party itself that caused a Usagi Toketsu to lose his head.
A pretty blend of there, nonetheless.
Toketsu.
A crab wedding without at least 6 duels is considered just a dull affair.
Mirimo would look over as like, an impressive attention to detail, rivaling almost what a Kitsuki of my own clan could manage. This is interesting to know, though I'm still not sure what you think my particular expertise in this matter will be.
Well, you're a seeker of enlightenment, right?
Indeed I am.
Well, you also noticed the foxes, correct?
It was hard not to be honest.
I believe that your attention to detail and your contemplative thought will help me. I have a tendency to assume that the worst is happening at any given moment. And though in our last adventure, or in our former adventures together, this has proven to be the case, my master has warned me on several occasions not to be, forgive the pun, jaded by this.
So you were looking for a different perspective.
Correct.
I see. Well, regardless,
also,
is the...
I bring you in here as a member of the Dragon Clan. And Toshiro changes completely how he's speaking at the time. Before, he was speaking kind of lightheartedly, and now it comes to a very monotone. And he says, as an individual with experience dealing with or as a clan with experience dealing with the lying darkness, I believe you may be of help yet.
Yamamoto will be silent for several moments, and then says, "That is not something we usually talk about, even if it is something that is known to few. However, I believe these circumstances do require a bit loosening of the tongue. So, in this matter, I'll be whatever help I can, although I'm afraid that I am not the most well-informed about the particular matters of my clan involved in the lying darkness."
No. Nor do I believe this is the lying darkness. But having you learn about it and knowing your clan's history will help us when we get there and deal with it head on.
As you say.
I need you to learn about the spirit realms before that happens.
Interesting. I suppose I was always to learn about that at some point. I guess the fate is pushing me there a bit faster than I imagined. Regardless, who am I to turn away from it?
Kunikagor says, perhaps it is best if I showed you the second letter.
Okay.
Now that we are assembled. Kunikagor will open a second scroll. Same seal, same author. This one goes into explicit detail about the coronation of Iwako II. Iwako II, when he became the heir to the Iwako line, keep in mind he is the second-born son. There is also Iwako Kimpeki, Iwako Shibatsu, who is his older brother and technically would be the one who is expected to gain the throne. Shibatsu was trained by the spider, However, when Iwako II ascended, he removed, without a championship match or battle or anything, Daigotsu Kenpeki, and instead took his brother, Iwako Shibatsu, renamed him Susumu Shibatsu, and made him the Spider Clan champion. This has caused a divide amongst the Spider Clan, and Daigotsu Kenpeki has officially disappeared. As you read through the letter, you get more details. There is information inside there that a signed confession to the fortune of the sea, Soitengu, included, or from Susumu Kenpeki, included that Daigotsu Kenpeki and Susumu Kenapi, rather, keep screwing those names up. Susumu Kenapi and Daigetsu Kenpeki were in league together and had trapped the Shadow Dragon in the colonies. You also find out that there were others, specifically the Daigotsu Kenpeki's bodyguards, which Susumu, before leaving his family to get married, was one of the bodyguards. Daigotsu would have kept 4 bodyguards, so there are 3 still out there that know this secret. It's also believed that Susumu Shibatsu may also be aware of the Shadow Dragon's imprisonment and may have the ability to free him. It is also believed that that Kenpeki has been basically blackmailing and imprisoning the Shadow Dragon to further his own goals. You also find that he has been being referred to as the Shadow Emperor, and he believes that it is his right to restore the Hanate line as the rightful heir, as the one and only son of the Daigotsu. This scroll contains information that is sensitive for obvious reasons. This is not public knowledge.
That damn cursed blood needs to be purged from the Empire. Every other person that the Daigotsu touches decides that they're the rightful heir to the Hanate line.
Say that as you will, the Empire is not given such an order, so...
Miyamoto, being relatively close to the Spiderlands, you have heard of Kenpeki. He is quite the formidable warrior, taking on impressive, near-suicidal odds and surviving, victorious every time. He has made it very well known and been tested multiple times of any sort of Maho use or taint or corruption, and he's always been found clean.
Do I know anything about, like, his honor? Like, is he an honorable person on top of being a skilled warrior?
He was until he was removed from being clan champion. He effectively took a major honor hit, and so did his whole family once that happened. He effectively lost honor status all in one go. And we're talking multiple ranks.
Ugh. Well,
I'm sorry, there was one other detail inside that scroll. There is loose information that he is amassing military forces outside of Rukugan and intends to, once he is ready, march his forces into the Empire in a clean sweep and remove any who stand against him.
Ouch. Maybe I'll, like, give a size, like...
There is a letter written at the bottom that basically says that Susumu has confessed all of this to the Fortunes and sought forgiveness from the heavens and was not struck down by Soitengu, so he is to not be punished.
I see. Maybe a little size, like... Until recently, for obvious reasons, the former Spider Clan champion was the pinnacle of Bushi, in my opinion. Skilled, incredibly skilled. and no trace of taint whatsoever. It is sad to see him take such a turn.
Indeed. What should be our... So you believe that this is connected?
You're talking to me or the other guy?
No, the other guy.
Oh, for Cooney. I do not know the extent of what they are connected, but I believe that someone who can deliver a personal message to the Lord Hida would be yourselves. I believe it is in our clan's best interest to be prepared. I assume that he will be traveling from the Dragon or even the Unicorn lands if he is to re-enter Rukagon. If I have at least one clan representative from two of the clans that protect the borders, then I only need to worry about the third.
The Unicorn are formidable warriors, and I have some ties to them, that I may be able to speak with them. Though those ties may be difficult to engage.
We have connections to the Shogun as well. We can deliver a message directly to him, though he himself has also been unhappy with Rukagon as of late, or at least Rukagon's rulership. Perhaps under the new emperor, this will change.
I can get a message to the Otaku. Possibly the one clan of the Unicorn that may understand battle.
Well, we're speaking of alerting people to this knowledge. May I assume that I will be able to alert my family to this possible invasion?
You may, but we will provide you Shigenjas to pass the message. It is not something that should be written.
So be it.
Well, we have 16 hours to conduct this investigation, Miramoto-san.
It's nighttime, right?
Yes.
Excuse me, like 12 hours.
During this time, you will receive message that you are invited to go hunt foxes, essentially.
From whom?
From Kakita.
Any explanation?
He has said that there's been some strange goings on with the foxes in the area. That he wishes to gather some samples. This is a servant talking to you, by the way.
Okay. And in regards to trapping animals, once... is that considered unclean work to collect the trapped animal, or how does that work? Unless it's okay unless it's dead, right?
No, hunting is actually considered a high skill. So trapping an animal and doing that is actually it's a sport, really.
Okay. I guess am I done with my work at this point?
Yes, you are done shaping it however you want it to go.
Okay.
By the way,
yeah.
the Shogun, I'm going to add his name to our chat as well, because you guys may want to refer to him as by name.
Well, I made a medallion that emulates the style of the figurehead on the captain's ship, where instead of a man, sort of half mantis, it's a female form, sort of half mantis.
Okay.
Do you want me to make a roll for
that? Yes, I will need a craft roll for that. It's going to be
Cool.
jewelry specifically.
Okay, and I will take a raise on it.
Okay. Target number is going to be 20 with the raise.
Okay. $20.
Okay. So with the 20, you're actually able to finish it, and it is coming. It came out the way that you expected it to be. With that raise, essentially, or I should say, with the raise, it actually made it better than what you were expecting. You're quite proud of your work there.
Okay. And the ship wasn't leaving immediately, was it?
No, it'll be leaving in the morning after they've restocked.
Okay. I guess I'll get to work on fox traps if if I know how to make them offhand, which I should because I have crafts and everything. But I'll ask the servant who brought me the message. Is there anyone I can talk to about the fox infestation you have?
It has been noted that the foxes have increased their activity within the city, but as far as details, we are unfortunately a little shy on it. I believe that is why Kakita wishes to gather some.
Are there any places in particular where these should be set?
The
Shall I just make them
marketplaces.
in? Okay.
They've been rummaging through the alleyways and trashes. I believe that they are scavenging for food, sir, my lord.
Well, your people know the city better than I do. I'll make a few traps, and if you could have them sent out to what places you think might have the best chance.
Of course.
And I'll go get to work. Do you have the materials I'll need to do this? And I'll give them
Yeah, if you give him a shopping list, he'll gather it.
Yep.
And then they'll go about setting out the traps for you and everything. We're gonna flash back to the office because most of what's happening in the single bedroom is not very shiny or important unless you would like to do something. Okay.
I'm good, man.
Okay. Yeah, you're kind of just awkwardly sitting there with two Cooney that you've never met in your life that are not talking to you.
He just he does keep an eye on them specifically, not on Ronru, on them.
Right. Back to the office, anyways. There.
Yep.
The Cooney has taken up the scroll, and he has placed it into a scroll box that is made of jade. You know this Cooney tradition. He has locked it with a single key that he has tucked back into his kimono.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's filing away dangerous paperwork. Is what he's doing. And he shuffles it into a scroll shelf that is then covered up by like a false painting.
Well, how long, Miramoto-san, do you think it'll take C to capture several foxes with some makeshift traps?
He'll like blink and look off the side. It's like, it's not a question I've contemplated. I suppose if I had to give a guess, 4 hours.
I guess that gives us 4 hours to do a preliminary investigation. I'm going to look at the Cooney here. Are we going to have any sort of authority to perform the investigation as necessary? Or should this be kept at should this be kept close to the chest?
It would be best if this was kept close to the chest. The storm clouds are gathering strangely amongst the city, and you will hear a crash of lightning as he says it. There's something foul working its way through this city. And I do not want to upset the citizens with a forced investigation.
Very well. Let us head to the shrine, Miramoto-san.
Indeed.
Do I see them come through as they walk out?
As you start to leave, yes, you will in a second. But as you start to leave, Cooney says, Susumu goes to the shrine in the morning, just before dawn, to write his poetry.
Yes. But maybe we can speak with the fortune.
If you wish to, I would suggest writing something prophetic or amusing. Fortune seemed to be quite entertained by a riddle last time.
Very well.
You guys will head downstairs, escorted by another servant, the one that took you up here, Miramoto. And as you come out, you'll find that that C is finishing up his last trap, kind of wiring together some wood pieces and stuff.
Tsubasa?
Kikita-san, you two have been gone for a while.
Important matters. I wish I could tell you about them, however it would be inappropriate. Safe to say that your task is important to the security of the Empire.
Well, I have finished it. I can be of service to you.
No. These foxes may be tricky. You need to personally ensure that you capture several of them alive. And one or two dead.
Very well.
Thank you. I apologize for the vagueness of this. Please understand that if I was not ordered to keep you in the dark, that I would not. You have proven yourself a loyal companion before.
I do not begrudge you that.
He will bow his head to you and, kind of motion to Kaji, let's go.
Follow.
Okay.
Damn major plans and their bullshit that they got to deal with.
So
Lucky
for
minor clan not having to do shit.
for C, I will need a hunting check, which I'm checking right now as to what is associated with it, because it's been a while since I looked at hunting. Actually, I think that's a Bushi skill now that I'm thinking.
I can't
or
rely
Bushi
on the
skill.
genius of my crafting.
You can, but for the dead ones, you're going to need hunting.
Well, can I just catch one and then kill it?
Yeah, but you've got 4 traps, so however you want to do this. It would be hunting perception.
How did Kikita? How many did Kikita say he wanted?
A few alive and a few dead.
No, I don't have enough traps. Okay. This is not my strong suit. You said it was perception.
Hunting perception is the stat associated with it. Perception. If you have hunting, the emphasis would be tracking.
Are the traps reusable?
They would be, yes. It will
So-
take you more time if you trap them, kill them in the kennel, or kill them in the cage, and then remove them and reset the trap, though.
Well, I'm going to set the traps first, and as I make my rounds trying to track some of them and hunt them, I'll see if any of them get caught early on. And if so, I'll just try to save time. I'll kill maybe 1 or 2 of those, so I'm not, because I don't think I'll be able to catch foxes very well. So
Okay.
I'll try.
When you go out into the city, it is raining, so your target number is going to be a little higher than normal. We're talking about a 20.
Okay. No.
All right, so you are unable to kill any. You have to rely on the traps, which just means that you can reset those traps. It's going to take longer time than you were originally estimating to capture all these foxes for Kikita. For Kikita and Miramoto, you have traveled to the shrine itself. Once you arrive there, you're going to notice that the well itself is mostly full. There seems to be some little paper boats that have been set in there, probably by children. And the driftwood pile is sitting there like it normally is. There doesn't seem to be anybody at the shrine at the moment.
Okay. I'll grab a piece of wood and I'll write a joke on there that's or just the beginning of a joke. It says, "What what makes a Kuni smile?" And then I'll throw it into the water.
Okay. It floats out into the water. After a few minutes, nothing happens. By the regards of the report, it was a rather quick turnaround from tossing out the wood and the spirit coming up, or the
Okay.
fortune coming up.
Could I roll my lore theology to help me come up with a way to actually get this guy to pop up?
You absolutely can. Lore theology would work. It is going to be a target number of 15, and you can call for any raises you want. Let me flip over to my lore theology cheat sheet here.
Let's see here. Where is... Yeah, there it is. I shall call for 1 raise.
Okay.
Hmm. 21.
Okay, with a 21, which is a success there, you will know that usually to draw the attention of a spirit, you would pull something that would be something that they value. Like if it was a flower spirit, you would pluck freshly plucked flower and give it to them, or possibly an incense or something like that. This being a sea spirit, perhaps something like shells that imitate the sounds of the ocean would be a good idea. You can see that there are some conch shells along the beach, and you could collect those as an offering.
I will do so.
You also know that meditation is usually the way that you get to meet a spirit, or at least commune with one. So while writing on the wood is good, you should meditate as well.
Okay. Yeah. I will go collect shells, and
Okay.
after I'm done, I will arrange them in front of me and kneel and meditate.
All right. For that, I will need a meditation roll. It's
Okay.
target number of 15, and you can call raises if you'd like.
All right. Once again, I will call 1 raise.
Okay. And the cool part is, if you were missing void points, you're getting them back by meditating, if you succeed.
Math. 23.
Perfect. With 23, you succeed, so I don't think you're down void points right now, so if you were, you could fix that. You take out a piece of wood, and what kind of artistic abilities does Miyamoto Kaji have?
I'm a tattoo artist.
Tattoo artist. Okay. I believe you have something along the lines of perform tattoos or possibly craft tattoos, correct?
It's artisan tattoos.
Artisan tattoos. Okay. If you could give me an artisan tattoos check.
Okay. That one. 20.
Okay, perfect. So through your meditation, it kind of guides your hands as you break out your tattoo tools. And you take the needle and you kind of start carving into the wood with this needle. It's kind of the way that you remember learning how to do tattoos. Like before you could even start on a person, you would do it on fruit because it has a similar texture to skin. You would have never used wood before because wood is damaging to the needles, but you feel this desire to do so, and you immediately start kind of threading in this tattoo. What kind of tattoo are you going to be drawing?
Sunset over the ocean.
Okay. What kind of ocean? Is it going to be a torrential one or just a calm one? Or...
Let's go with calm.
Okay. You cast that out, and Kakita, you're kind of watching, and you can tell that his movements are practiced.
Okay.
And it may be the fact that Miyamoto has achieved some level of enlightenment, and that much you are aware, but his meditation movements are very practiced, and even when he breaks out the tattoo gear to begin his artwork there, it's almost as if it's like machine work going. He casts it out into the ocean, and you can see that this water starts coalescing, and it forms a hand and lifts it up, and it brings it towards what looks like a young boy's face. He takes it and he kind of appraises it, and then he sets it in the water, and it sets back out to the ocean. The gates to the harbor are up, so you can see that there are a couple pieces of wood out there waiting to be pulled out to the sea again. But the boy walks to the coastline, and you immediately recognize him in his kimono that has waves moving and crashing around, that this is Soitengu. He has kind of a translucent look, and his hair moves as if he's underwater, even though he's not.
I will bow politely.
From my still kneeling position, I will bow deeply.
Okay. Artist, why have you come?
I hope I have not disturbed you, honorable fortune, but me and my friend here are seeking answers. There's something strange going on in this city, and we must know what is happening.
I will inform you what I can tell you of the seas. Of this city, I am only aware of the most recent problems that affect myself.
Any information you can give us would be greatly appreciated.
Do not do like the dragonfly. Do not share this meeting with others. I know that she was excited, but I do not wish my presence and my accessibility to be known to mortals.
As you will.
What information do you request from me?
That's a good question.
If it helps direct you any, he does seem very arrogant. Both in speech and in his presentation of himself.
Don't think I actually know anything about the foxes.
You've been told everything that I know, just for the record.
I know. I'm trying to think of an actual question he might be able to answer. I'm not sure if asking him what's up with all the foxes is exactly under his purview. This is a terrible time to blank.
He threatened a wedding.
Oh, right. We haven't exactly found out precisely why. Oh, great and honorable fortune. About a month ago, there was a wedding here. A wedding you were displeased with.
I was displeased with what their plans were before, but I am quite pleased with the wedding. My servant, Yasuki, is his name now. He visits me daily and writes me poems of the ocean and of the sea and of the creatures that are under my purview. He is a good man, though he comes from a dark past.
I see. And you would think none of that dark past guides his actions now?
I do not see it. The only foul darkness that I have seen grace these shores is the hair that dared step foot in my waters.
What can you tell me of this hair?
An arrogant fool. He insulted my servant, offered him an inferior gift, and then refused to even give him that gift, only to challenge the crab. A duel to the death for a woman.
It did not end well from what I had heard.
No, and his stench remains with my waters. His death has darkened the sky and brought trouble.
I see. Trouble from who or what?
That I am not aware. This hair, he was fated. Should he die, he will bring about some sort of disaster. I don't know what his connection is to the other spirits or even this world, but I know that his blood has tainted my waters.
Hmm. I see. Do you happen to know where he could be located?
The Usagi? His
Yes.
body was pushed out to sea.
Ah, of course. Hmm.
Miramoto-san, would you request of the fortune that he allow me to summon a water spirit to find the body?
Why do you wish his body?
Well, as you said, his blood taints you now. It may be best if we remove it.
I shall bring it forth. He turns, and you can see that he brings his hand up, and this wave just crests over the wall of the city in the harbor, and you see like what looks like driftwood kind of crest over the wall and hits the water, and it floats towards you. It's a corpse that's been eaten at by fish. It's been underneath the water, bloated up, and it looks terrible. A head slowly trails behind it. Like I said, it's been in salt water for about a month now, so most identifying features of the body are gone.
Miramoto-san, the Kuni have the ability to, or some powerful Kuni Shigenjas have the ability to remove taint from an area. Would you speak to the fortune and discuss whether he would like that to happen?
By the way, the fortune is in front of you and has made it clear that he can see and understand you.
Correct, but I'm speaking to, or we are dealing with a fortune who has not yet addressed me. So he is feeling that it is completely inappropriate to speak unless he is spoken to. So he is directing everything to Miramoto because he is the one that Miramoto.
Perfect. I just wanted you to know as a player what was going on.
Nope,
Okay.
I know. If the fortune says something to me, he's just going to be like, he will then respond to the fortune, but he's not talking because he refused an audience with me, and he is accepted from Kaji, so he's just trying to be respectful.
Kaji will nod. He's like turn back to the fortunes. Like, as you may know, the Kuni have the ability to remove taint from an area. Would you like this to be done?
I do not believe it is taint related. He is fated. His death will bring about trouble for these lands. As I said, I do not know his connection and where and why, but his death is important to Ruruga.
I see.
Out of character, so you get what I'm hinting at. That NPC had Dark Fate as a disadvantage.
Ah. Okay, I gotta find out who and how. Ugh. I think that might be the limit of what the guy can tell me. Let's find out how or why. Okay, I guess that's probably it. So, I will once again bow to the fortune and say, thank you for your assistance, great and honorable fortune. I apologize if you feel that your time has been unduly spent.
I request something of you.
Name it.
These creatures, these foxes that inhabit the city, they are part of the problem. Remove them from the city. Its lights and candles at night are something to enjoy for me.
We shall do so.
Does he know the cause of the foxes?
He does not. Or
You have not asked.
Oh. I thought he said something to the effect that, like, he doesn't know about the foxes. Or maybe that was just
He said
assuming.
he doesn't know what plagues the land.
Okay, maybe I was making an assumption. So, in that case, look, it shall be done. Though, if I may ask, do you know the reason why the foxes have come out in such numbers in the past month?
The foxes are not to be blamed themselves. They are being manipulated, played as animals. And much the way that a fortune would bring a human to do a great thing, the foxes are being brought to do their great things under the influence of another creature. Something near. I can sense its power and its abilities, but I can't quite determine what it is. It feels of the Chikishoto, but not entirely.
I see. Would you say that it would be within the city?
Yes, but I feel that there is more than one as well.
I see. How many, in your opinion?
2.
I see. Well, we shall endeavor to find these manipulators and to remove the foxes.
Without them around, the foxes will leave on their own.
So you say. Again, thank you very much for your presence. And he bows again.
Okay. What are you guys going to do with the body?
Get it to the Cooney.
Okay. How do you intend on that? Do you want to bring the Cooney here or bring the body there? And if you're bringing the body there, how are you doing it?
Do we have a convenient carpet around here somewhere?
I shall fetch a rug. No, that was an Archer reference for those that don't know. I will tell, or I will say, doesn't look like any hen.
Because looking at the body, even an Edda is not going to be willing to pick up that thing.
So I'm just gonna say it looks like no Henan or Edda are around.
Hey Tom, you might want to check your camera.
Okay. What's wrong with my camera?
Not your camera, rather, but the Google stream. Click on Murdoch real quick.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was gonna
say, it's just the two of you, so I guess you're losing.
Yeah.
So I assume that Kaji looks over at Toshiro, and Toshiro's like,
Interesting. It's like, Kaji will look up the side for the moment. It's like, what is this motion you do with your nose?
oh, it's nose goes. When an undesirable action needs to be done and people don't want to do it.
I'm not familiar with this.
That's unfortunate. It is binding law in the Crablands.
I don't believe you.
I need a deception check.
He's not trying to deceive him. He's just trying to say it. He's like legitimately not lying.
And by the way, Kaji knows what the nose game is. He's clearly faking it.
Do you want to stay here with the corpse and go, or do you want to go get the crab?
I shall stay with the body.
Very well. And I will head off with the
There are
fast.
guards out in town, so you can actually just send a guard and be like, "Oh, fetch the witch hunters. There's a body on the beach," and they'll come.
I'll just go fetch somebody. Important.
Yeah, you find a guard who's got like a lantern on a stick, because awesome Rukagani guards. He goes running through the street, lantern dangling along the way. Brings down some Kuni witch hunters who bring in their own lanterns on sticks.
Be like,
There's two of them.
We got the hair corpse.
That had been pushed out to sea.
And has been returned by the fortune.
For what reason?
We asked it to. We figured it could be relevant.
Very well. The Kuni kind of look at each other, try and figure out how they're going to move this thing.
We leave.
Before they get a chance to ask you guys for some sort of assistance.
Yeah, I pull on Kaji's, I tug on Kaji's kimono and be like,
Like, okay.
This might be slightly. We don't want to be here.
Yeah. This is far too base for someone of my enlightenment.
Amazing. All right, let's. I know it has been rather a fast turnaround, but let's see if C has caught anything yet.
Okay. For C, your night goes on. Kikita was expecting you back, and you said 4 hours, right?
That was my complete bullshit guess, yes.
Okay. You will make it back in about 5 hours because you've had to catch them in the cage.
No, I'm just going to find him and see if he's
Slaughter.
got anything yet at
Okay.
however long this has been.
Yeah, he's caught 2 of them and killed them in the cages and reloaded the cages or the traps at different locations. So he's got 2 corpses.
Thank you. I'll need only alive ones now. C-san.
Have your endeavors gone well? He says it was completely drenched with mud covering the bottom of his kimono.
I look over at Kaji.
They went well enough. We were enlightened to certain things.
Enlightenment. Good. I'm glad.
Perhaps we'll enlighten your kimono in the morning.
I remember giving my aunt a promise. I'll see you in the morning.
Yes. Well, hopefully not too late. I still need those corpses. Or those alive foxes.
Yes.
And I'm going to, first and foremost, spellcraft the foxes.
Okay.
$17.
Nothing appears to be wrong with them. No magics, no enchantments, no like pieces of parchment strapped to them as Yoko charms or anything like that.
Okay. May I roll medicine to dissect it?
Yes, you can.
To see if the internals of it have been manipulated in any way. 2.
Nope, looks like a normal fox. You compare both bodies. I mean, you don't have a whole ton of experience with foxes, anatomy, but both foxes look identical. They look like normal.
Okay. Okay, and then I will use sense.
Okay.
It's a spell. Let me know when you're ready for that roll.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to use this. Damn! Barely succeeding.
That 8 is what you last rolled?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not a success, bro.
I thought it was for a 1 spell.
Oh, yeah, sorry, for your spell. Yes, that is a success. Because it's just barely there. So, okay, you're going to sense. What are you trying to pull for? Which kami?
No, I'm just seeing if there's sensing the kami around this fox. Like if there's...
They're normal.
Okay.
There's nothing like directly interfering or moving or messing with. There doesn't seem to be a large amount of spirits around it. Nothing more than what you'd expect. Since you happen to be in the witch tower when you're dissecting them and doing that stuff.
Sorry, it's a 10, so I will barely not succeed. My bad.
Okay. You don't know then in that case. But everything seems to be copacetic.
Something here blocks my magic.
Truly. Do you think it's a dark spirit of some sort?
I'm not sure yet. I'm going to attempt to conjure the kami and see what we can see.
Okay, we will stop there for a second, though.
Okay.
We're going to go back to the bedroom. with the Kuni witch hunters and Komori. Komori, Ranmaru has kind of passed out in this overly plush chair. You've kind of learned in the past month that she's going to sleep wherever she chooses to sleep, and it's best just to let her be. But she wakes up instantly, and she grabs her belly, and she kind of like moans out in pain. You can see that the two Goonie start to take stance, and then they watch over her.
I will. I'll go over to her, and I'll suggest to her that she might be more comfortable in an actual cot instead of just the chair.
She looks at you, and she has this terrified look in her face, and she says, "I can feel it moving." The Kuni that is a doctor moves forward and asks her to open the kimono and expose her stomach.
I'll look away for that.
You go to look away, but there's something that you just can't help but look at. Is once she exposes her stomach, you can see this hand that looks wrong pressed up against the stomach. It's got, fingers stuck together there. There we go. That kind of hand pushed up against the belly. Like, those horror movies where something's like pushing through the walls? That's what you see, is this one hand like that. And then this face kind of comes up against the skin, and it looks deformed. It's not a human face. And then it sinks back into the belly, and she finally feels the pain recede.
I will.
The Kuni is breaking out a scroll and taking notes.
I will act like I didn't see anything, at least not visibly.
Okay.
I don't want. Mostly, I'm just trying to keep her calm about this.
The other witch hunter that's towards the door has taken a full attack ready stance, and you can tell is contemplating. Should it be done? Should I do it now? Kind of deal. And the tension in the room is very palpable.
After it subsides, and then the medical one is writing notes about it, I will. This might be a bit beyond etiquette, but I'm going to. With Gauntlet in my hand, I will go to the one in who's in the tax stance, and I will just stand in front of him, just saying, and that's it. Just stand in front of him.
Okay. You two have a small karmatic duel between each other, locking eyes and sizing each other up. If you would like, you may do an Ijitsu assessment phase with him.
I have no clue how Ijitsu works.
It's a Ijitsu assessment. Let me pull it up real quick here. It's the Ijitsu skill, and you get to roll with assessment as the emphasis, and you keep, I believe it is awareness for the first stage. Let me double check that. Awareness.
All I know is I don't have Ijitsu at all.
Okay. So you both are terrible because you both don't have Ijitsu. You size each other up and are unable to...
Actually, I can do something.
Okay.
Can I give him a death stare, but I'm using intimidation?
You can. It is a low skill, and you will lose honor for doing so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna have any good intimidation skill, but hey man, this is one of the few instances it would be worth it. It was. believe it was. That's what that was for. $42.
Perfect. You kind of stare him down, and you can see that he is kind of shifting between the two of you. He's not going to launch an attack, but you can see he's really contemplating it at this point. Because you are kind of threatening him, and he's been sent here for a specific purpose. While this is going on, you can hear chanting from behind you, and we're actually in the game right there. And we'll pick up with next time when the Shugenja that's behind you casts his spell.
Not chanting.
That is it for this week. I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in. We had 3 viewers this time. That was pretty cool. We'll go down the line once more real quick here. If anybody has anything they'd like to say before we go, we'll start with Brendan.
Well, awesome that we have viewers. Hi, guys. I had a good time, and yeah.
All right, next we have
Next
Jeremy.
time.
Fuck all y'all.
Got it. Got it. It is an adult broadcast. That's fine, but I don't suggest saying "fuck all y'all" to people that
Hey
kindly
man,
viewed in.
I'm the lovely guy you guys love to watch. I can say what I want.
Okay, Bender.
Next is Murdoch.
Thank you for tuning in. Fuck Jeremy right in the face. Yep. And play Guns of Icarus online.
Damn it, I was just gonna say that. Couldn't get my plug.
Hold on. Let me rephrase that then. Don't play Guns of Icarus online.
Tom, you owe Murdoch $2 now.
Yeah.
No, you all ruined it. I'm not saying anything now. Don't be petulant about it.
And of course, Tom.
Tom, petulantly silent.
All right, guys, this was a very Komori light episode. We'll attempt to correct that next time, but I am kind of a fan of making the story be cinematically purposeful, and sometimes characters do fade back. But next time we will start with Komori and see what's happening with the Shugenja that's behind him casting spells like Ranmaru.
How will Jeremy die / almost die this time?
Yeah, that is entirely possible.
I will make sure to build another character just in case.
For everyone who is tuning in, if you guys did not see it, there was a one-shot that I did last night that was a kind of a prequel to this episode. If you guys are interested in doing any of those in the future, I do pull from the one-shot group on Facebook people to do that sort of thing. Not that it happens terribly often. As you can tell, we're on our 10th episode, and that's the first time I've done it. But I intend to do a few more in the future when I have time for that. If you guys have any questions or anything, keep in mind on all my videos, the QA app is on and live. Right now I don't have any, so we're not going to do any here at the end. What I want to do is, however, do a special event with my cast here where we do just a QA, maybe like an hour session, where anybody can ask questions, and we'll do it as like a special event. When we get to like episode 15, I think will probably be best. As far as people have asked, my intentions on how long this series will go, and the answer is its logical conclusion. I don't want to set a number of episodes. I want to set a story. So stick with us and enjoy what we go through, and have fun for the ride. As always, feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe, and my new one is drag your friends kicking and screaming until they love Legend of the Five Rings like me. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you at the gaming table.